اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع رزقي، وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تقطر على قلبي، فأجول في طلب البلدان، فأنا في معنى طالب كالحيران. لا أدري في سهل هو أم في جبل، أم في أرض، أم في سماء، أم في بر، أم في بحر، ولا يدي من بمن قبل من، وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك، وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله، واجعل يا ربي رزقك لي واسعا، ومطلبه سهلا، ومأخذه قريبا، ولا تعنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا، فإنك غني عن عذابي، وأنا فقير إلى رحمتك. فصل على محمد وآله، وجد على عبدك بفضلك، إنك ذو فضل عظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله، يا إمام الرحمة، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين، يا علي بن أبي طالب، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد، يا قرة عين الرسول، يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيهة عند الله، اشفعي لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي، أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا. يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباكر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها القادم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الحاد النكي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله حاجات يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا ساداتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين يا رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد سورة المباركة الفاتحة
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلا تعجبك أموالهم ولا أولادهم إنما يريد الله ليعذبهم بها في الحياة الدنيا وتزهق أنفسهم وهم كافرون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Continuing with the Tafsir of Surah Tawbah, I recited for you ayat number 55. Just a quick recap between the two previous ayat. Discussion is still concerning the people who refrained from going to the Battle of Tabuk. In the last two ayat, it was shown that these people, while they excused themselves from jihad, they wanted to still, do something about it. And so they offered monetary help. They offered to financially support the cause. And, thinking that, look, whatever gains that come back from the battle, at least we will have a share in it. If we can't physically take part in it, but at least we have, done something regarding the finances of this battle. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to their offer by saying in ayat number 53, قُلْ أَنْفِقُوا طَوْعًا أَوْ كَرْهًا لَنْ يُتَقَبَّلَ مِنْكُمْ إِنَّكُمْ كُنْتُمْ قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. Tell them, spend, willingly or unwillingly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to accept this from you. Why? Because you are transgressing people. Here, two words were used, طَوْعًا وَكَرْهًا. The reason is, Taw'an could be because, they are showing some remorse maybe, or there's some inclination to gain something from all of this. So there might be another agenda behind it. Or karhan, meaning they're forced into doing it. They really don't want to do it, but they don't really see any choice aside from it. So both of these words are used. But of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of their iman, their belief, and their intentions. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Then, actually, the next ayat responded to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not accepting. Although the first ayat also responded by saying, لَن يَتَقَبَّلَ مِنْهُمْ. Why was not accepted from you? Because you are common fasiqin. You are fasiq. But then it says, وَمَا مَنَعَهُمْ أَن تُقْبَلَ مِنْهُمْ نَفَقَاتُهُمْ إِلَّا أَنَّهُمْ كَفْرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. What is stopped? Nothing stops the charities from being accepted except what? Except that you have no faith in Allah. You don't have any faith in Rasulullah. وَلَا يَأْتُونَ الصَّلَاةَ إِلَّا وَهُمْ كُسَالَى وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَ إِلَّا وَهُمْ كَارِهُونَ. You do not perform the prayers but lazily, and do not spend but reluctantly. So this further gave an idea as to why their charities were rendered to be unacceptable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one, fasiqeen. Number two, you're not really doing it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to His apostle. Rather, you in your ibadat is also kusala, meaning you're very lazy in your ibadat. Similarly, in your giving, you're also very reluctant. So these are the things that are known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not a hidden secret. We talked about it as well in the last discussion that there are two things. There's husn fi'li and husn fa'ili. The action which is good, and then the intention behind that action also. So, sometimes I might do a good action, perform an action in front of people, but I really don't believe in that thing. I'm just doing it for the sake of showing off. You think this amal has any acceptance in it? This amal is going to be raised in... Yeah, people might praise me for that amal. If I did something like this in front of people just to show off and prove a point to them, which really doesn't matter to me, because it's just part of my immense wealth that I possess. So I go ahead and give a little bit towards this charity, although I don't feel any good about it. People don't see this. People just see my face value. But of course, Quran says, "Ilayhi yas'adul kalimut tayyib wal amalus salih yarfa'u." Allah accepts God. The good words will be presented before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and good actions will be raised to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But your action is not considered to be in line with your niyat, and hence it is lacking that intention behind it. Kind of like the example that we have given in the past about that person who did not intend to take part in the battle, but because he had lost his animal, and he was looking for it, and then he ended up being in the middle of a battlefield, and then he got killed. And so he got killed. He did not intend to be part of that battle. You call him to be shaheed. Shaheed-e-Himar, they called him. Why? Because he lost his donkey. He was running after his donkey, and it was in the middle of this battle, and he got killed because of that. And so he's Shaheed-e-Himar. You think that person has a similar status as those shuhada who gave their life, who had come prepared for this battle and they wanted to serve the cause of Allah? No, of course, they're different, because this person didn't intend on doing this. Similarly, that salat that you offer with the tired bodies, with the lack of attentiveness, kusala, as the ayat of Quran is saying, lazily. How many times we offer our salat, especially when we speak to our kids, right? Their salat, they offer when they're so lethargic, they just don't feel like doing it. You can tell by their body language. They'll just go and they'll pray, and then that lazily, of course, when they're doing it with their kids, you're just trying to get them in the habit. But if that continues even when you get older, that you feel like this is a burden and your mind is not to it, and you're not really into it, then this salat is, what do you expect from this salat to come out, right? And is this the salat which is as-salatu mi'rajul mu'min? You think this is the salat which is going to take you to mi'raj? No, this is done as something which is a burden upon me, and I'm already lethargic and tired, and I just want to get it out. The salat that has to be offered, regardless of when and where you're offering it, it has to be done lacking this kusala, as the ayat of Quran is saying. So similarly, their ibadat was lazy, and also their charities were reluctant about it. What happens, what is the effect of these ibadat? Quran mentions it very clearly. It says, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah accepts only the amal of those who are pious and muttaqeen. So if your amal is lacking that taqwa, you don't fear, there's no fear of Allah, and it's just being done lazily, then this amal is amal of ghayr muttaqeen, and therefore it will not be accepted. Similarly, in Surah Hajj it says, ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. This amal has to emerge from the heart. If the heart is not into it, just the body is performing this amal, then of course you should not be expecting a great reward from it. If it's a good action, you might be compensated right here in this world. But don't expect a reward in the hereafter. A reward in the hereafter is only after an amal which is done with taqwa. Amal that is accompanied with piety and taqwa. So therefore, in this ayat, this was just a recap from last two ayat. After those people who offered their wealth, and they had a lot of wealth, and Allah said, no, your charities are not accepted, and then gave the answer in ayat number 54. This ayat comes about. فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُهُم. Do not let their wealth and children impress you. So, they're giving this money, and now, the moment you see all this money coming, your eyes are wide open, and you're impressed by it. He said, don't let their wealth and children impress you. Allah only desires to punish them with these. This wealth that they are bringing to you right now, Allah intends to punish them with it. So if Allah wants to punish them because of this wealth, how is it going to help you? And that their souls may depart while they are faithless. Here, فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ, as it mentions, don't let their wealth and children impress you. The word tu'jibka, we use that in Urdu and Farsi, ta'ajjub, right? Hayrat angez or shaguft angez, right? These are the words, muta'ajjib, as a person is, hayran. When you see something astonishing, you're muta'ajjib, you're in ta'ajjub, you're like, wow, right? It impresses you. Something that you see that is extraordinary, you get impressed by that. So, فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ, the address is, of course, to the Prophet. O Prophet, do not be impressed by what these people are giving. Now, of course, Prophet out of all the people in the world, he's Imam, he's Masoom, he's Nabi, he's Rasul. He is the wajh khilqat of this place, this entire universe. And he is the most muttaqi and parezgar, right? You think Rasulullah would be impressed by the wealth of these people? So whenever the address is to the Prophet, although Quran, is bilisan Nabi, right? It was revealed onto the heart of Rasulullah, and he told us with his tongue. So Allah is addressing the Prophet. He is the primary addressee of these ayat. Allah has addressed him. But these ayat, like many other ayat, are for us. The ahkam are not for the Prophet. Because he's above and beyond that. That, oh Prophet, do not get impressed by you and I are the ones who get impressed by these things. These petty things that we see in the world, when we see the billionaires of the world, when we see, other things, they impress us. They don't impress the Prophet. But nonetheless, the ayat is doing what? Ayat is addressing. So it's not makhsus by Rasulullah, of course. It is more appropriate for us than to Rasulullah. Then in فَلَا تُعْجِبُكَ, there are two ihtimalat, two possibilities that Mufassirin have given. First possibility of فَلَا تُعْجِبُكَ is that you should not be impressed by their wealth, by their charities. That's number one. That is the obvious one. Prophet, you shouldn't get impressed, saying they are kafir, munafiq, yet they have been bestowed with such bounties. What happens? Right away, you and I question, so-and-so, billionaire, millionaire, whatever, they are doing all that you can imagine is haram, yet they are living the dream. They are enjoying. They have the power, they have the money, they have the wealth, and so forth. Let's be honest, it impresses us, right? Their immense wealth impresses some of us. We get impressed by them. We get impressed by their lifestyle. We get impressed by their spendings. We get impressed by everything that has to do with their power. So that's one ihtimal, one possibility, that you don't get impressed by them. Second is, the word tu'jibuka, it comes from the root i'jab, which means that the way these kuffar are impressed by their belongings and they rely upon them, their children and their wealth, you shouldn't get carried away the same way and start relying on your possessions. What's the difference? First one is when you get impressed by someone else's possessions. That's the first ihtimal. Second possibility is you don't get carried away like these kuffar have gotten carried away, relying on their possessions. You too also have some possessions. It's not like you are faqir. You have ghina as well. You have money and you have wealth as well. So whatever that you have, this should not make you what? Put you into ijab. And you get impressed by it and you start relying upon it. I got all this wealth. Qarun, right? Shaddad. Don't become those. That I got all this. Now, this is mine. My hard-earned money. I have earned it. I have accomplished it. This and that. And it gives what? Ujub to you. So there's a concept of ujub that comes from the same root word. So both could be the meaning. So ijab and ujub and ta'ajjub over here, I hope both meanings are clear. It's an akhlaqi discussion. We're teaching our Sunday school students, 10th graders, 11th graders about ujub. And so it's a very interesting discussion. It says, i'jabul mar bi nafsih, that a person who is impressed and relies on that which he possesses or she possesses. So there's a wasiyat from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to Amirul Mu'mineen, who said, Ya Ali, thalathun muhlikatun, shuhun muta'un, wa hawan muttaba'un, wa ijabul mar'i bi nafsihi. Three things are what? Are muhlikat, are destructive. Number one, greed that is obeyed. Shuhun muta'un. Shuhha nafsi, Quran also talks about it. That shuh, that, the fact that this greed where insan becomes what? Insan starts obeying this greed of theirs. The one who doesn't think that Allah is razik. The one who doesn't think that Allah has given all of this. The one who doesn't give any credit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for whatever they possess. Thinks everything is from them. At the end, what he says? Usually this concept comes when someone asks them of something. He said, why are you asking me? It's all mine. Go on your own. He said, no, Allah gave it to you. And fi haqqin, in this is there's a portion for sa'il and mahroom. Quran talks about it. In your wealth, there's a haqq for those who are in need. But a person, when he doesn't think that this is from Allah, this is all mine, this is all my doing, then they're going to become what? Miserly. Stingy. Right? Bukhul will creep into them. So this person who doesn't think that Allah has given to him, everything is from him, He doesn't want to share it with anyone. Displays greed and stinginess at the highest level. Number 2, وَهَوًا مُتَّبِعٌ. I'm just explaining, but these are not part of our discussion, but I'm explaining it anyway. When you ask this person why they are doing something which is against aql and it is wrong, this is what this literally means, desire that is followed, hawa. When a person follows their hawa and nafs, this is the first sign of it. When you ask them, they're doing something which is absolutely wrong. They're doing it and you're trying to stop them. So what are you doing? And then the person responds by saying, because I want to do it, none of your business. The moment the person responds like that to something illogical that they're doing and is musir that I want to do it because I can, what are you going to do about it? That is the one who's hawan muttaba'un. And then the third thing for which we had this discussion, وَإِجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ. Rasulullah said, when a person has this ujub, self-admiration. Self-admiration itself is an entire discussion in ulama akhlaq have done. It's a beautiful discussion. The one who is in ijab about his possessions. When he looks at his actions, he gives them full grade. That speech that I gave, 100 out of 100. That work that I did, best there could be. The meal that I prepared, the best there is. Whatever it is that we do, I have done, is the best. But similarly, when I look at someone else doing the same thing, I'm not going to be that generous to them. As far as it was my action, it was 100 out of 100. The best grade that it is possible. Khud pasandi, self-admiration. My life is the best. My house, my car, my children, my idea, my this, my this, my this. All of this is at the peak. It's 100%. So this person is someone who's lacking what? Husn al-dhan. What is? The positive assumption about others. He has very positive assumption about himself, but he has zero positive assumptions about others. Sharia teaches us a principle which is primarily used in fiqh based on husn al-dhan. That is isalatul sihha. Isalatul sihha, in our fiqh, it is used that when you see something, you base it on the fact that it is correct. Right? So for example, if there's a cup or a glass in front of you, you say, or there's a drink in it, or I came back to lead the next namaz and I was wearing the same abba. Like, Maulana, did he purify his abba? What is isalatul sihha? He must have done it, right? This is carrying what? Husn al-dhan. Not su'ezand. Oh, he was wearing the same abba when that najasat fell on it? And then he's leading the namaz in the same. Should I tell others? Should I just go ahead and... Even if you have 100% proof that it is still najas, you don't need to tell everyone else. You just make your intention to be what? Furada. Because you are aware of it. But isalatul sihha tells you what? That it is okay. It's clean. It's not najas. It was najas then. He disappeared from your eyes. He came back. Meaning he is purified. That is having what? Husn al-dhan. The presumption of validity or the principle of assuming correctness. That it is correct. So when you see someone doing something, first thing should be what? His action is right. Amal is great. Amal is correct. When you see someone gaining worldly ranks and getting rich, first thing that comes to our mind is it even halal? Are they earning this through halal means? Where all of a sudden all this coming from? Right away, we're starting assuming this is su'ezan. Baba, he's working, he's earning, he maybe received inheritance from an unknown source. What do you know? Right? We are assuming that he didn't hit a jackpot or played lottery or anything, but didn't get all of this from gambling, for example. No. Husn al-dhan, mu'min. The first should be have good suspicion about this individual that this is all halal. But we think otherwise. On the contrary, how should you be about your own self? Not husn al-dhan. You should be self-critical. And, I've explained this before. I've spoken for sure about it. but maybe like 10 years ago. I was looking up when I spoke about it 10 years ago. Khutbah Muttaqeen, which I explained here, close to 8 or 9 years ago. In that Khutbah Muttaqeen of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam discusses this, and I looked it up that yes, I had a discussion on this. When Imam was talking about the attributes of Muttaqeen, this is one of the attributes that he mentioned. He said, La yardawna min amalihimul qaleel. They are not satisfied with their meager good deeds. Wala yastakthirun al-kathir. And they do not regard their major acts as great. Fahum li'anfusihim muttahimun. They always blame themselves and are afraid of their deeds. When anyone of them is spoken of highly, he says, I know myself better than others. Someone comes up to me and says, Wow, Maulana, behtareen. That was great. Out of this world. No one can do this. And you turn around, this muttaqi turns around and says, I know myself better than others, and my Lord knows me better than I know. O Allah, do not deal with me according to what they say, and make me better than they think of me, and forgive me those shortcomings which they do not know of me. I know my shortcomings. I know. That's why you should be self-critical. To the extent that you do not go above and you start thinking that you are better than. So if we are to take فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ in the initial meaning of these people becoming impressed by the possessions of the kuffar, that is mal and awlad, then the idea is fine. The discussion is, and that's where majority of the mufassirin have gone. O Prophet, O mu'mineen, O Muslimin, do not be impressed by the possessions of the kuffar. But then this other side of it is also making sense. That do not get carried away with whatever little you possess. Do not think that this is a great thing. So the two words that are used over here, mal and awlad. There are many ayat in Quran which have used these two terminologies, these two words together. Numerous occasions. You just type it in, mal wal banun, mal baneen, and mal al awlad, innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna, innama. All these ayat of Quran use these two, mal and awlad, or mal or banun. So I'll just talk about two of these. Surah Mu'minun, ayat number 55, says, innama or annama numidduhum bihi min malin wa baneen. This is the discussion when Allah is telling them, Allah is offering help, Allah is helping them. Allah is providing help. He said we help them with what? Mal and awlad. Second, when discussion is about them being misled and away from the path of prosperity. This is in Surah Munafiqun, ayat number 9, when it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tulhikum amwalukum wala awladukum an dhikrillah. Don't let your mal and don't let your awlad do what? Take you away from, distract you from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when it says, فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُهُمْ, mal and awlad refers to these two. Awlad could be referring to as your qudrat, as your power. Mal, we understand, is your wealth. But power is something which is, the awlad is primarily in the Arab environment is referred to as your power. Why? Kathirul awlad, they had the biggest tribe. Their tribe was the most powerful one. So usually amwal and awlad could be translated as that. I'll leave the remaining part out here. There's a question that I want to leave you with. Can we consider wealth and power to be prosperity itself? Is wealth prosperity? Is awlad prosperity? Is power prosperity? Is wealth prosperity on its own? Or are they elements of achieving prosperity? The latter is the right answer. These two are elements that can make you and gain that prosperity. If one possesses these two, they are prosperous, and the one who doesn't possess these two, are they not prosperous? No, that is not the criteria. Fir'aun had a lot of wealth. Shaddad had a lot of wealth. Qarun had a lot of wealth. All of these despots, they had a lot of wealth, but they're not prosperous. So these two could be means of attaining prosperity. They are not necessarily prosperity themselves. Here, a person came to our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, and he started getting worried. He said, Imam, Allah has been really, generous to me. Whatever I touch turns to gold. I can't do any wrong. Wherever I invest, multi-fold return. Anything that I'm touching is turning to gold. Anything I'm doing is bringing back tons of profit. So to the extent that I'm afraid, is this some sort of a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because, mu'min and muttaqi should be wary of this. I always give that example. You'll probably laugh at it again. These kids are too old for these. You and I remember Tom and Jerry, right? You remember, okay. Tom and Jerry, right? And Jerry the mouse will always get away with anything that he did. Tom would go ahead and place piece of cheese after cheese after cheese after cheese, and at the end there was a trap to catch him. Of course, Jerry, because he had to get away, he would eat all the cheese and still get away with it. But you saw this cheese after cheese after cheese is what? Good after good after good is leading you into that direction. What is at the end? There's a trap at the end. It's a perfect example. When too much good is coming your way, this could be a trap for you as well. So this man got worried. He said, Maula, what do I do? I'm getting all of this. Is this a trap or something? Should I be worried that Allah is bestowing so much upon me? Because that could be a means of worry as well. Imam gave us the criteria. He answered very beautifully. Imam said, if your wealth is bringing you close to Allah, then this is absolutely ni'mat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if your wealth is taking you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then no, yes, it is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it is a niqmat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So next time, when you are, inshallah, getting bombarded with the ni'mat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's ni'mat after ni'mat coming towards you. Know that this is, if it's keeping you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is absolutely ni'mat. But yeah, if you are being deviated and it's taking you away from it, then this is definitely a ni'mat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli. Assalamu alaikum Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum Nabi Allah, assalamu alaikum Habib Allah, assalamu alaikum Khairatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alaikum wa Abdullah, assalamu alaikum wa Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa ala jaddika wa abik, wa ala ummika wa akhik wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, assalamu alaikum gharib al-ghuraba, assalamu alaikum mu'ina du'afai wal fuqara, assalamu alaikum shams al-shumus wa anis al-nufus, ayyuha al-madfun bi'ardi tusali ibn Musa al-Rada wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, assalamu alaikum sahib al-asr wa zaman, assalamu alaikum amal insa wal jana, assalamu alaikum sharik al-Qur'an, ajjalallahu